Good news for Ace Pro 2 owners. Thanks to the latest firmware update, you can now connect the new Insta360 Mic Air directly to your Ace Pro 2. So let's check it out. Prior to the latest firmware update, if you wanted to connect a wireless microphone to your Ace Pro 2, you basically had two options. You could plug in a dedicated wireless receiver, which typically gives you the best audio quality, but it's complex, it's fragile, and of course when configured like this, your camera is no longer rugged and waterproof. The other option was to connect up a standard Bluetooth microphone with pretty poor quality, range, and stability. Well, now there is a new option. Insta360 just dropped a new firmware version for the Ace Pro 2, making it compatible with the brand new Insta360 Mic Air. So today we're going to check it out, we're going to see how to hook it up, what you can do with it, and we'll do some testing to see how well it performs. So there's a lot to cover, so as usual I'll place the chapters up here and on the video timeline, but first, this. Before we continue with today's video, a quick disclaimer. This video is not sponsored, paid for, or influenced in any way. I purchased all of the equipment with my own money and the opinions are entirely my own. Now I do include links to the featured products as well as my recording equipment. These may appear throughout the video and in the video description. If you purchase using these links, I may make a commission and this is what helps fund the channel, but rest assured there is no price disadvantage to you. You are getting the best price I can find. Alternatively, if you want to support the channel, you could follow this link and buy me a coffee. And of course, if you enjoyed today's video, please remember to hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel for a lot more similar content. So back to the video. Okay, so let's see what you get with your Insta360 Mic Air. Now, I purchased the standalone transmitter version, which was released together with the X5, but thanks to the new firmware update is also now compatible with the Ace Pro 2. There is also a version which includes a USB-C receiver, but apparently that is only compatible with Insta360's own Flow series smartphone gimbals. So let's go ahead and open this up. So we have, of course, an instruction manual, and you'll notice everything comes together in this very nice travel case. Now I have to say this is really quite impressive. This is a very nice high quality travel case. You can see we have the microphone and some attachment clips here, and on the other side we have some additional accessories. Let's go ahead and unpack these. So inside the box you will find, of course, the transmitter itself. We've got a couple of attaching magnets, more on those in a second. We have a windshield, we have another magnet pendant, and we have a charger. As far as attaching your Mic Air is concerned, three options come with the transmitter. You have a magnet for placing on clothing. It is a pretty strong magnet and should hold pretty firmly in place. There is also a clip which also attaches by magnet to the transmitter but allows this to be clipped onto clothing. And there is also a magnet pendant which can also be put behind clothing. And what's nice about these pendants is that it keeps the transmitter more firmly in place and does not pull down on your clothing. Also included is this wind protector. It comes attached to this rubber ring you can insert the microphone into. It can be inserted from either side, so the button can be operated from either orientation. The wind muff is actually detachable from the ring, but I would advise not to do that because it is very difficult to get back on once you get it off. And then we have the charger. And for some reason known only to Insta360, they have decided to go with a proprietary magnetic charging cradle. Now the last time I saw one of these was also on an Insta360 product that was the GPS preview remote. So please, Insta360, stop listening to whoever is telling you that these proprietary magnetic cradles are cool. They may have been cool 10 or 15 years ago, but nowadays we are all standardized on USB-C, which of course you will not find anywhere on the Mic Air. So now I have to carry around a separate charging cable specifically for my Mic Air. And of course, if I lose this or I misplace it, then I have absolutely no way of charging up my Mic Air transmitter. And let's come back for a moment to that travel case. Now, I hate to complain because this really is a very nice travel case, but frankly, it is completely over the top for what you need. For most situations, all I need to carry around is my Mic Air transmitter and perhaps a magnet or pendant, and this case is just way too big for that purpose. And again, I don't want to knock the case because it really is excellent quality, but my issue is that this case probably adds a good $10 to the list price of the microphone. Personally, I'd rather pay $10 less for the Mic Air and have just a drawstring bag to carry it around in. And let's just take a closer look at the microphone itself. It is very simple in design. You have just a single button on the side, more on the operation in just a moment. You have the microphone grill on the top. And on the back you have the connector for charging as well as an alignment notch for the charger. Okay, before we connect these two, the first thing we're going to do is make sure both are updated to the newest firmware versions, and let's start out with the Ace Pro 2. So the way we do that, of course, is by connecting to the Insta360 app. Once connected, if there is a new firmware version available, it will prompt you. And as you can see, there is a new firmware version available, including compatibility with the Mic Air. And it's simply a case of following the prompts to perform the update. Also, you can verify the current firmware version by selecting the Me icon at the bottom right. Scroll down to your device information and tap on the firmware version. And here you can verify that you are on at least version 1.2.20. Updating the Mic Air firmware is quite similar. First, you have to make sure that the Mic Air is in pairing mode. The way you do that is from the off position, hold down the button for at least 6 seconds. And as you can see, the blue light is now flashing quickly, indicating it is in pairing mode. Then we're going to go into our Insta360 app as we did before. Once again, select the Me icon at the bottom right. But this time we're going to select Accessory Update. And when you select that, you will see your Mic Air. And here you can see the firmware version of your Mic Air, and in the event there is an update, you will see that here. And in the case of the Mic Air, we need to ensure that we are on at least firmware version 1.0014. So let's go ahead and connect the Ace Pro 2 with the Mic Air. So on the Ace Pro 2, I'm going to go into the menu and you'll see here there is an AirPods icon. Before I hit that, however, I'm going to place the Mic Air into its pairing mode by once again from the powered off position. I'm going to hold the button down for 6 seconds until the light starts flashing rapidly. Now I'm going to hit that AirPods icon. And within a few seconds, it discovers the Mic Air, and we're going to tap on that. And now the Mic Air is connected to my Ace Pro 2. Once the Mic Air is connected, if you tap on this little icon here, You can see there are some controls for the mic air itself. I can turn on and off the noise reduction from here. When I turn it on, you'll notice that the light on the mic air turns green. I can disable the indicator light if this is a distraction. And under device information, you can see it shows me the current firmware version. Also, you'll notice there is an information icon at the top. If you tap on this, it will give you information about using the mic air. I can use a single click to start and stop recording. I can use a double click of the button to enable or disable noise reduction. A triple click will mute or unmute the microphone. And as we've seen previously, a 6-second press from powered off will place the mic air into pairing mode. If we head back out to the main screen, you can see that there is now an AirPods icon at the top right, and also you can see the audio level meter at the top of the screen. Once these two are connected, they will remain paired. So if I power off the microphone, you'll notice that the mic air disconnects, and now the Ace Pro 2 will use its own onboard microphones. If I power the microphone back on again, within a couple of seconds it reconnects. If I leave the mic air powered on and power off the Ace Pro 2, when I power it back on again, they will reconnect. However, typically this takes a few seconds to do. And as you can see, after a few seconds, we are now reconnected. Now, unfortunately, that long connection time means that the mic air cannot be used in combination with the quick capture mode. So if I press the record button to use quick capture, it powers on the camera and immediately starts recording, but it is recording using its own onboard microphones. When the mic air connects, I will get a notification, and as you can see, it tells me that the mic air is connected, but it will not be available for use until the next recording. If I stop the recording and I prevent the camera from shutting down, as you can see, now the mic air is connected. As far as configuration is concerned, if we head into the menu, you'll notice the microphone icon up here. If I tap on that, the first thing you'll see is dual track audio. So when my mic air is connected and this is enabled, the primary audio track on the video will be from the mic air, but it will record a separate audio track using the onboard microphones of the Ace Pro 2, which of course you can mix in post-processing. You can see here that with dual track recording enabled, both the mic air and the built-in microphones will be used. If I turn it off, only the mic air is being used. Also in the top right here, you will see some additional settings. If I click on that, you can adjust the gain. In the case of the mic air, this is a Bluetooth microphone, and you can adjust the gain from +9 dB to -18 dB, depending on the audio level you need. When it comes to operating your Ace Pro 2 together with the mic air will act as a basic remote, so I can start the recording by single pressing the button on the mic air, and of course another press will stop the recording. A double press on the button will enable the noise reduction, and you can see the light has now turned green. And if I double press again, it will go back to blue, so noise reduction is now turned off. And if for any reason I need to mute the microphone, a triple click will mute the microphone. You can see the light has turned red and there is no signal on the audio level meter. And if I triple click again, it will unmute the microphone and you can see that there is now audio coming through. Another nice feature that they have added with the mic air, if I power off both devices, When I power on the mic Air, it will automatically wake up the Ace Pro 2. But do keep in mind it will take a few seconds before the mic Air is fully connected and ready to use. Now, one common question is, can I use the mic Air or a Bluetooth microphone together with a Bluetooth remote? So let's start out then with the GPS preview remote. The answer is yes, you can, but it's a little complicated. Right now, as you can see, I have the mic Air connected to my Ace Pro 2. I already have paired my GPS preview remote with my Ace Pro 2. When I power on the GPS preview remote, it immediately starts the connection to the Ace Pro 2. It seems to be going through all the motions. And you can wait as long as you want, but it will never connect as long as the mic Air is connected. So the way to get them both to work together is to first connect your GPS preview remote, if necessary power cycle the devices. But now with the mic Air turned off, when I start up the GPS preview remote, and once these are connected, you can power on the mic Air. And as you can see, it is connected. Now this is a little bit hit and miss, and you may have to power cycle your devices a couple of times, but eventually you should be able to get both working at the same time. So I can start my recording from the GPS preview remote. I can stop my recording from the mic Air, and as you can see, we are getting the signal over the mic Air. In the case of the mini remote, these devices play a lot nicer together. You can connect the mini remote or the mic Air in any order, and both devices will work perfectly together.
Start recording. Shooting complete.
And finally, if you still use the old GPS action remote, you will also find that these two devices play very nicely together.
Pure video. Start recording. Shooting complete.
Okay, time to do some testing, starting indoors, and to start out with, I'm using the onboard microphones of the Ace Pro 2. I find in most situations, as long as you stay pretty close to the camera, the onboard microphones do a pretty good job. That changes, however, if you get further away from the camera or you want to turn away from the camera, then you start losing the voice, and that's when we need a wireless microphone. So let's go ahead and switch to the first of those, and that is a standard Bluetooth microphone. So now I have switched to a Bluetooth microphone. I'm using the DJI Mic 2. I find as far as Bluetooth microphones are concerned, this is about as good as it gets. But what do you think? How is the audio quality compared to the onboard microphones of the Ace Pro 2? Obviously, being a wireless microphone means that I can move further away from the camera, I can turn away from the camera, and you will have no problem still hearing my voice okay. Okay, so much for the Bluetooth microphone. Now let's switch over to the full wireless microphone system and see how that compares. And now I am using a full wireless microphone system. Again, I'm using the DJI Mic 2 system, but now it is connected to its dedicated receiver, which is plugged into the USB port of the Ace Pro 2. This should be the best audio quality, but what do you think? How does it compare to the onboard microphones or the Bluetooth microphone? Of course, being a wireless microphone means that I can move away from the camera, I can turn away from the camera, and once again, you will have no problem hearing me okay. Okay, so much for the full wireless mic system. Let's now switch over to the mic Air and see how it compares. So now for the moment of truth. Now I am using the new Insta360 Mic Air paired directly and wirelessly to the Ace Pro 2. So what do you think? How is the audio quality? How does it compare to the other microphone types? Once again, of course, being a wireless microphone means I can move further away from the camera, I can turn away from the camera, and you should have no problem still hearing me okay. So how does the Mic Air sound in this indoor environment? But what about outdoors? Let's go ahead and take this outdoors, do some additional audio quality testing as well as some range and stability testing. Okay, let's continue our testing now outdoors, once again starting with the onboard microphones of the Ace Pro 2. Now I find in most situations the onboard microphones do a pretty good job as long as you remain pretty close to the camera. That changes, however, if I start to move away from the camera, if I turn away from the camera, you begin to lose my voice, and that is of course why we want to use a wireless microphone. So let's switch over to the first of those wireless microphones, the DJI Mic 2, connected using Bluetooth. Okay, and now I have switched over to the DJI Mic 2. We are connected to the Ace Pro 2 using just Bluetooth. Now, of course, this being a wireless microphone means I can move away from the camera, I can turn my back to the camera, and certainly at these short distances, I don't expect there to be any signal interruption when I do that. So how does the audio quality of the Bluetooth compare to the onboard microphones? Let's now switch over to the DJI Mic 2, but this time we're going to use the dedicated receiver and compare the results. Okay, and now I have switched over. I'm still using the DJI Mic 2, but this time it is connected to the Ace Pro 2 using the dedicated wireless receiver, which is plugged directly into the USB port of the Ace Pro 2. Now, normally I find this is about as good as it gets for a wireless audio connection, but what do you think? How is the audio quality? How does it compare to both the onboard microphones or the Bluetooth microphone? And once again, let's do our basic obstruction test at close distance. I don't expect there to be any issues. I can turn my back to the camera and you should have no problem hearing me okay. So let's now switch over to the Mic Air and see how it compares. Okay, and now I have switched over to the new Mic Air. How is the audio quality now outside using the Mic Air? How does it compare to the other microphones? Once again, let's do our short distance obstruction test. If I turn away from the camera, would not create any signal problems. Hopefully you were able to hear me without any interruptions. But that will likely change if we go a little bit further from the camera. So let's put the Bluetooth microphone back on and let's take a walk and see how it performs at distance. Okay, now I am about 50 feet away from the camera, about 15 meters. I find with Bluetooth microphones, as long as I maintain line of sight, the audio quality remains pretty decent. The problem is that Bluetooth is very sensitive to the slightest obstruction, so if I turn my back on the camera, there will be a few signal dropouts. But how is the audio quality? Are we able to maintain the signal at 50 feet using the Bluetooth microphone? Okay, now at 50 feet, about 15 meters away from the camera, using the DJI Mic 2 connected to the dedicated receiver. How is the audio quality at this distance? How does it compare to the Bluetooth microphone? Let's do our obstruction test. If I turn my back to the camera, I'm assuming that there are no signal interruptions. This is a very stable connection using the dedicated receiver. So let's now switch over to the Mic Air and see how it compares. Okay, so once again we have switched over to the Insta360 Mic Air. Now instead of going straight to 50 feet, I've decided to stop a little short of that, around about 25 feet away from the camera. The reason being that when I tested this on the X5, I was having quite a few problems with signal interruptions at 50 feet. So hopefully at 25 feet you're able to hear me okay over the Mic Air. Let's see what happens if I turn my back to the camera. Are you hearing any? So assuming you can still hear me okay, let's continue on to 50 feet and see how it performs there. Okay, now I am 50 feet away from the camera, still using the Mic Air. Hopefully you can hear me just fine. How is the audio quality now at 50 feet? Let's once again do our obstruction test. Yeah, I think we can stop the range and stability test right there. Now, I've done these tests many times with different microphone setups, and typically I go a lot further than 50 feet. But in the case of the Mic Air paired to the Ace Pro 2, I found that if I tried to venture much further than 50 feet, not only would I lose the connection, but it would actually stop the recording. So I was just not able to get any footage beyond that distance. Now, clearly the Mic Air Ace Pro 2 combination has a severe problem when it comes to obstructions, even more so than with standard Bluetooth, so I thought it would be a good idea to also do a motovlogging test, and that's what we'll do next. Okay, let's do a quick motovlogging test. Now, apologies to motorbike riders, I don't have a motorbike, I don't have a helmet to test with, so I've gone for what I think is the next best thing. I've mounted the Ace Pro 2 down here on my vehicle, and when I sit in the driver's seat there will be a significant amount of dashboard, bodywork, and even some of the engine between me and the camera, and obviously we want to see how well the Mic Air maintains the connection to the camera. So let's go ahead and start recording on the Ace Pro 2. Now, so far you've been listening to me over the DJI Mic 2 connected to my DJI Pocket 3. Let's switch over to the soundtrack from the Mic Air using the Ace Pro 2. And to avoid any interference, I'm also going to turn off the DJI Mic 2. So now you are listening to me exclusively over the Mic Air connected to the Ace Pro 2. So let's go ahead and get in the car and see if you can still hear me okay. In the vehicle, hope you are still able to hear me okay. Hopefully there are no interruptions. So now is the audio quality now with the dashboard. So one last test we need to do is the noise reduction system. So right now I have the noise cancellation turned off, as I'm sure you can hear. I do find that sometimes these noise reduction or noise cancellation systems make the sound a little artificial sounding, but let's see what it sounds like. Let's go ahead and enable noise reduction. So noise reduction is now on. Do you notice the difference in the sound? How is the sound of my voice? Does it still sound natural? Let's go ahead and turn it off again. So noise reduction is now off. How does the sound compare? Let's go ahead and turn it on one more time. So noise reduction is now back on again. So how does it sound with noise reduction back on again? So the verdict on the Mic Air combined with the Ace Pro 2, honestly, not impressed. I found that the audio quality was not great, maybe marginally better than the standard Bluetooth microphone, but the signal stability and sensitivity to obstructions made this almost unusable in most situations. Now, if you typically never stray beyond 25 feet or so from your camera and you are cautious not to turn away or turn your back to the camera, you might get pretty good results with the Mic Air, plus you have the added convenience of being able to start and stop your recording or even power on the camera. But for any other use cases, I would say you're going to be better off with a standard Bluetooth microphone like the DJI Mic 2, or if you don't need your camera to be rugged and waterproof, then go with a full wireless microphone system. So that wraps it up for another video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please remember to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel for a lot more similar content. If you have any questions, any comments, if you want to share your experience or make suggestions for future videos, please drop those into the comments section. Otherwise, thanks again for watching.